As President Trump preps for his Beijing summit, he is weighing his next options against Iran after saying the ceasefire was on massive life support.
I have just read the response from Iran's so-called representatives. I don't like it. Totally unacceptable.
Highly enriched uranium needs to be taken out of Iran, and the country's enrichment facilities need to be dismantled.
At 0347 local time on a Tuesday in March, a watch officer aboard the USS Bataan presses a red key on a communications terminal and holds it for 3 seconds. What that key does is authorize the transmission of a single encrypted phrase across the Fifth Fleet's tactical network, and within 9 minutes, 4 warships that were conducting routine transit operations in the Gulf of Oman begin emergency turns toward the Strait of Hormuz at flank speed, burning 12,000 gallons of fuel per hour per ship to close a gap that Iranian fast attack craft have just opened. 48,000 gallons per hour. At current Navy fuel costs, that is $228,000 in diesel being converted to wake turbulence every 60 minutes, to respond to a swarm of fiberglass speedboats that cost $50,000 each. The Strait of Hormuz is 21 nautical miles wide at its narrowest point. The shipping lane going in is 2 miles wide. The shipping lane going out is 2 miles wide. Between them is a 2-mile buffer zone. 6 miles of usable water carrying 21% of the world's daily oil consumption. And at 0341, 6 minutes before that red key was pressed, 14 Iranian Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy fast attack craft departed Bandar Abbas harbor in 2 staggered formations and began sprinting south at 45 knots toward the inbound shipping lane. Their target was not a warship. Their target was a liquefied natural gas tanker flying a Maltese flag, 1,100 feet long, drawing 36 feet of water, carrying 170,000 cubic meters of LNG worth $89 million at current spot prices. It cannot turn. It cannot accelerate. It requires 2 nautical miles to stop. And it was 14 minutes from the narrowest point of the strait, 9 nautical miles northeast of the tanker, aboard the Bataan. The Bataan is an LHD-5 Wasp-class amphibious assault ship, 843 feet long, 40,500 tons. In this story, she is not carrying Marines. She is carrying helicopters. Specifically, she is carrying 4 MH-60S Seahawk helicopters configured for surface warfare, each loaded with AGM-114 Hellfire missiles, 8 per aircraft, 32 total, and 2 AH-1Z Viper attack helicopters that launched from her deck 90 seconds after the watch officer's key press and are now accelerating southwest at 180 knots, crossing the 9 nautical miles in exactly 3 minutes. The IRGCN boats do not know the Vipers are airborne. This matters. 26 nautical miles to the southeast, aboard the destroyer USS Gravely. The Gravely is an Arleigh Burke-class Flight IIA guided missile destroyer, DDG-107. She was conducting routine patrol in the Gulf of Oman when the tactical net lit up. She is now executing an emergency turn to port, her 4 LM-2500 gas turbines spinning up to full power, pushing 9,200 tons of warship to 31 knots. At this speed she will reach the eastern mouth of the strait in 50 minutes. She will not arrive in time for what happens next, but she will arrive in time for what happens after. Her Combat Information Center is already tracking the 14 IRGCN contacts on the Spy-1D radar. 14 fiberglass signatures moving at 45 knots in a spread formation that the Navy calls a swarm profile. Each boat is approximately 42 feet long. Each carries either a single 12.7mm heavy machine gun or a pair of 107mm rocket pods. Some carry both. None carry radar. They navigate by GPS and visual contact with each other. The Gravely carries 96 vertical launch cells. 96. Each cell holds either a Tomahawk cruise missile worth $2 million or an SM-2 surface-to-air missile worth $2.1 million or an SM-6 dual-purpose missile worth $4.3 million. She is not going to fire any of them at fiberglass speedboats. This is the arithmetic that Iran is exploiting. 9 nautical miles northeast of the tanker, still aboard the Bataan. Captain Torres has a problem that exists in a gap between doctrine and physics. His helicopters can kill every one of those 14 boats. A Hellfire missile costs $117,000 and travels at Mach 1.3, 995 miles per hour, with a range of 5 miles. At 32 missiles across 4 Seahawks, plus the gun systems on the 2 Vipers, he has more than enough firepower. But doctrine requires positive identification before engagement. Positive identification of 14 small craft that are, at this moment, still in international waters, still in a recognized transit corridor, still technically doing nothing illegal except moving in a formation that makes every Navy officer in the Fifth Fleet stop breathing. They have not raised weapons. They have not illuminated targeting systems, because they do not have targeting systems. They have not communicated hostile intent on any monitored frequency. Under the rules of engagement currently in effect, Captain Torres cannot fire first. The boats know this. This is their doctrine. 7 nautical miles south, aboard IRGCN Lead Boat 1, Commander Rostami is running a playbook that has been rehearsed 19 times in the last 4 years. The Western press calls these incidents harassment. The IRGCN calls them resistance operations. What they actually are is a cost imposition strategy, the same economic logic that a venture capitalist would recognize immediately. Force your opponent to spend $228,000 per hour responding to $50,000 boats doing nothing illegal.
Do it 3 times per month. Watch the budget math compound.
But today is not a rehearsal. Today, 4 of the 14 boats are carrying something new. Lashed to their aft decks under tarps are Iranian-manufactured Ababil, 3 drones, 10-foot wingspan, 85-mile range, 95 miles per hour cruise speed, carrying a 45-kilogram fragmentation warhead. Cost per unit, approximately $30,000. The plan is elegant. The fast boats sprint toward the tanker in their usual harassment pattern. The Navy responds with its usual helicopter screen. While every American sensor is focused on the surface contacts, 4 drones launch from the boats at low altitude, 50 feet above the water, below the helicopter radar horizon, and fly a curved approach into the tanker's engine compartment from the stern quarter where no defensive systems are positioned. Rostami's assumption: the Americans will not see a 10-foot wingspan target flying at 95 miles per hour at 50 feet over ocean clutter. His assumption is built on 3 years of data collected during the 19 previous harassment runs, during which IRGCN intelligence officers meticulously catalogued American radar behavior. They tracked which frequencies were active. They timed helicopter response patterns. They mapped coverage gaps. It was genuinely brilliant intelligence work. It was also 8 months out of date. 4 nautical miles southwest, aboard AH-1Z Viper callsign Rawhide 1. What Commander Rostami didn't know was that 7 months ago, the Marine Corps completed integration of the N/AQ-30 Hawkeye targeting system upgrade on all deployed AH-1Z Vipers, a system designed for exactly one purpose: detecting and tracking small, low-altitude unmanned aerial systems over water. The upgrade cost $2.8 million per aircraft. It was funded because of an incident in the Red Sea involving Houthi drones that this channel covered in a previous video. It uses millimeter wave radar that can distinguish a 10-foot drone from sea clutter at 8 nautical miles. Rostami planned for the Navy he studied 8 months ago. He is about to meet the Navy that exists right now. 9 nautical miles northeast, aboard the Bataan. At 0354, the watch floor tracks the IRGCN formation splitting. 10 boats continue south toward the tanker in a wide arc. 4 boats slow to 8 knots and begin turning broadside to the wind. This is not a maneuver that fast attack craft perform during a harassment run.
This is a launch posture.
Torres sees it. His tactical action officer sees it. The rules of engagement remain the same. No hostile act has been committed. But the posture change triggers a different clause: hostile intent criteria, subsection 3, preparation for launch of unmanned weapon systems. Torres picks up the handset.
Rawhide flight, Bataan.
You are cleared weapons free on unmanned aerial targets only. Surface contacts remain weapons hold.
Acknowledged.
Rawhide 1, weapons free unmanned targets, weapons hold surface.
Acknowledged.
The Vipers are now 4 nautical miles from the slowing boats, orbiting at 2,000 feet, invisible against the dark sky, their rotors a faint rhythm lost beneath the wind and engine noise of 14 boats. 7 nautical miles south, aboard IRGCN Lead Boat 1. Rostami gives the order at 0356.
The tops come off.
Launch rails elevate. For Ababil, 3 drones ignite their pusher propellers and slide off the rails within 12 seconds of each other. They drop to 50 feet and begin their programmed curve southwest toward the tanker stern.
4 drones.
$120,000 total. Flying at 95 miles per hour toward an $89 million target that cannot defend itself. The boats immediately accelerate back to 45 knots and rejoin the main formation, which is now 3 nautical miles from the tanker and closing. The entire IRGCN force turns toward the tanker in what appears to every commercial radar in the strait as an aggressive interception. This is the distraction. Every eye is supposed to look at the boats. Nobody is supposed to see the drones. 4 nautical miles southwest, aboard Rawhide 1. The pilot does not see the drones with his eyes. He sees them as 4 green diamonds on his helmet-mounted display, tagged by the Hawkeye system within 4 seconds of launch. The system classifies them as fixed-wing UAVs, subsonic, tracking bearing 225 at 50 feet. He toggles from air-to-ground to air-to-air on his weapons panel. This takes 1.2 seconds.
Bataan, Rawhide 1.
4 confirmed UAV launches from surface contacts. Tracking all 4. Engaging. The first Hellfire leaves the rail at 0, 3, 5, 6 and 40 seconds. It covers the 2.1 nautical miles to the lead drone in 8 seconds. The 20-pound shaped charge warhead detonates 3 feet above a drone that weighs 180 pounds. The drone disintegrates into a spray of aluminum and composite fiber that falls into the Gulf in pieces no larger than a dinner plate. $117,000 to kill $30,000. The ratio is absurd. But the ratio was going to be $120,000 in drones against $89 million in LNG and whatever an environmental catastrophe costs. That ratio is more absurd. The Navy accountants will file this under acceptable.
Second Hellfire. 8 seconds of flight.
Second drone gone. Third Hellfire from Rawhide 2, orbiting 800 meters east.
Third drone.
The fourth drone has already traveled 1.4 nautical miles and is approaching the Hawkeye's minimum engagement envelope. Rawhide 2's gunner switches to the M197 3-barrel 20mm cannon.
Rotary cannon.
675 rounds per minute. Effective range against aerial targets, 1,500 meters. The fourth drone is at 1,200 meters and closing on the tanker's stern at 95 miles per hour. He fires a 40-round burst. At 675 rounds per minute, 40 rounds takes 3.6 seconds. The fourth drone flies through the stream at the 2-second mark. 7 rounds connect. The drone's left wing separates. It cartwheels into the water 600 meters behind the tanker. The tanker's crew never saw any of it. Time from first drone launch to last drone kill, 94 seconds. Cost of 4 Hellfires and 1 cannon burst, roughly $360,000. Cost of what they protected, incalculable. 3 nautical miles north of the tanker, IRGCN formation. Rostami does not know his drones are dead. He has no data link to the Abavilles. They are fire and forget. His plan assumed he would see the explosion, a column of smoke rising from the tanker stern. He is scanning the horizon. There is no smoke.
20 seconds. 40 seconds. A minute. No smoke. He understands.
Not immediately. But within 90 seconds he understands that something intercepted all 4 weapons between launch and target. This was not in the data. This was not in 19 rehearsals of American response patterns. He has a second decision to make. The 10 remaining boats are still sprinting at 45 knots toward the tanker in a wide enveloping pattern. Their machine guns and rocket pods have the range to damage the tanker's bridge and topside structures from 400 meters.
This is the backup plan.
It was always there. It requires the boats to close to 400 meters and open fire, which is an unambiguous hostile act, and accept that some boats will not survive the American response. Iran spent 30 years building a force designed to make this calculation survivable. 14 boats cost $700,000 total. 1 tanker cost $89 million. Exchange rates favor the swarm, but exchange rates assume the swarm can close to 400 meters alive. 26 nautical miles to the southeast, aboard the Gravely. The Gravely cannot fire missiles at fiberglass boats, but the Gravely carries something else. Her 5-inch Mark 45 Mod 4 naval gun fires a 70-pound shell at 2,600 feet per second to a range of 13 nautical miles. Rate of fire, 20 rounds per minute. And the Gravely is now at 19 nautical miles from the formation. She will be in gun range in 11 minutes. She will not arrive in time. 9 nautical miles northeast, aboard the Bataan. Torres makes a second call.
Not to the helicopters, to the tanker.
Vessel on bearing 195, this is United States warship on channel 16. You have inbound hostile surface contacts bearing 015 at 3 nautical miles closing at 45 knots. Recommend you come hard right to course 270 immediately.
Acknowledge.
The tanker's master, a Greek national with 30 years of merchant experience, does something that costs Rostami the geometry he needs.
He turns.
Not quickly. 1,100-foot LNG tankers do not turn quickly, but enough. 3 degrees per minute of rudder authority. Within 4 minutes the tanker's heading changes from 180 to 168, which shifts the closing angle by 12 degrees and adds 900 meters to the intercept distance for the eastern group of boats. 900 meters is 2 minutes at 45 knots. 2 minutes is everything. 7 nautical miles south, aboard IRGCN formation. Rostami orders the attack.
All 10 boats surge forward, throttles wide, 45 knots.
Spray sheets rising from every bow. The formation opens into a crescent, 5 boats on the eastern arc, 5 on the west. The western arc has the angle. They will reach 400 meters first. The eastern arc now needs 2 additional minutes because the tanker shifted. This is where the problem compounds. For nautical miles southwest, above the formation, Rawhide Flight Plus 2 MH-60S Seahawks now on station. Torres has been cleared to weapons free on surface contacts exhibiting hostile act. The boats just went to attack speed on a closing bearing with a declared vessel under protection. The hostile act criteria are met.
All Rawhide, all night flight Bataan. Hostile act declared.
Weapons free all surface contacts. The Seahawks carry AGM-114 Hellfires, 8 per aircraft. 16 missiles now free to engage. The Vipers carry their remaining Hellfires, 5 between both aircraft, plus 20mm cannons and 70mm rocket pods. The western arc of 5 boats is at 1,100 meters from the tanker and closing at 45 knots. They have 50 seconds to weapons range. First Hellfire from Night 1 hits the lead western boat at 0403 and 12 seconds. A 42-foot fiberglass hull traveling at 45 knots encounters a 20-pound copper-line-shaped charge. The boat does not sink. It disintegrates. There is no wreckage larger than a fist. $117,000 removes $50,000 and 4 crew from the battlespace. The ratio is upside down. Iran's entire strategy depends on the ratio being the other way.
And it is on spreadsheets.
On spreadsheets, you do not factor in that Hellfires fly at 995 miles per hour and the boats close at 45 knots. On spreadsheets, you do not factor in that a helicopter can reposition faster than a boat can turn. Second boat. Third. The western arc loses 3 boats in 11 seconds. The remaining 2 brake hard right, away from the tanker, spray arcing as they wrench into evasive turns at 45 knots. They are no longer closing. They are running. One of the 2 Vipers pivots east. The eastern arc is now at 1,800 meters from the tanker, still outside the 400-meter engagement range, and the 2 minutes the tanker's course change bot are ticking down. Rawhide 2 fires. Boat 4 of the eastern arc takes a Hellfire amidships.
The formation breaks.
3 boats peel off to the northeast. 1 continues straight toward the tanker.
1 boat.
1 12.7mm machine gun. 1,400 meters and closing. The crew of that boat, 4 men in a fiberglass hull, has decided something that cannot be reduced to spreadsheet economics. Night 2's gunner puts a Hellfire into the water 200 meters ahead of the boat. A warning shot that sends a 40-foot column of water across the boat's path. The boat drives through it, still closing. 1,100 meters. The second Hellfire does not miss. 7 nautical miles south, aboard what remains of the formation. At 0404 and 48 seconds, Rostami still commands 8 boats. 5 are running northeast at maximum speed.
3 are running southeast.
None are closing on the tanker.
The attack is over.
It lasted 108 seconds from hostile act declaration to disengagement. 5 boats cost $250,000. They were killed by missiles worth $702,000. Iran won the cost exchange. Iran lost the engagement. This is the contradiction that makes the Strait of Hormuz the most expensive choke point on Earth. Both sides can claim they are winning, and both sides are correct, and neither side can afford to stop. 26 nautical miles to the southeast, the Gravely. The Gravely arrives in the strait at 0437. By then the surviving IRGCN boats are 15 nautical miles northeast, inside Iranian territorial waters, decelerating. The Gravely takes station 4 nautical miles north of the tanker, which is continuing its transit at 15 knots as though it was never 6 minutes from becoming the largest environmental disaster in the Persian Gulf since 1991. The Gravely's presence is the message. 9,200 tons of guided missile destroyer with 96 vertical launch cells visible on radar to every Iranian coastal battery within 60 nautical miles. She will remain on station for 72 hours. The cost of that presence, $1.4 million in fuel, crew time, and wear. 140 nautical miles to the south, Bahrain, 5th Fleet Headquarters. The after-action report takes 4 hours to compile.
It notes the following.
4 unmanned aerial vehicles intercepted and destroyed before reaching their target. 5 fast attack craft destroyed during hostile approach. 0 coalition casualties. 0 civilian casualties. 0 damage to the protected vessel. Total cost of the American response including fuel, munitions, helicopter flight hours, and ship repositioning, $4.2 million. Total cost of the Iranian operation including boats lost, drones lost, fuel, and crew, approximately $520,000. Iran spent $520,000 to force America to spend $4.2 million. Ratio, 8-to-1. By that math, Iran wins. By every other math, the tanker is safe, the strait is open, the oil flows, the drones are debris, and 5 boats and their crews are gone. Iran does not win. This is the war that never ends because both sides are correct about different numbers. Rostami returns to Bandar Abbas. He will file a report claiming the operation confirmed American detection capabilities have improved and recommending a pause in direct approach tactics. His recommendation will be overruled. The next rehearsal is scheduled for 3 weeks from Tuesday. The Bataan recovers all 6 helicopters by 0500. Ordnance crews count 3 Hellfires remaining across all 4 Seahawks. 12 hours ago, those racks were full. The ship supply officer begins drafting a resupply request to the ammunition ship USNS Medgar Evers, currently 400 nautical miles south in the Arabian Sea. Replacement missiles will arrive in 48 hours. Cost of restocking, $3.4 million. Iran will be ready to run this again in 3 weeks. The United States will be ready in 48 hours. Both of those timelines are sustainable. Neither is cheap. The Strait of Hormuz charges both sides for the privilege of pretending this is not a war, and it charges by the minute. 9 minutes from key press to first helicopter overhead. 9 minutes from first drone launch to last drone kill. 9 minutes from tanker's course change to clearing the engagement zone. In the Strait of Hormuz, 9 minutes is the distance between a Tuesday nobody remembers and a Tuesday that reshapes global energy markets for a decade. The tanker arrived in Fujairah 11 hours later, offloaded 170,000 cubic meters of liquefied natural gas, and departed on schedule. Its crew filed no incident report. Their insurance company did.
The premium increase, 12%.
Annualized across all LNG traffic through Hormuz, that premium increase costs global consumers $1.8 billion per year. 14 fiberglass boats, $1.8 billion annually in risk pricing. Rostami never fired a shot that hit anything, and he still moved $1.8 billion. The most expensive waterway on Earth remains open for business.
The toll just went up.
If you enjoyed this video, check out our other video on how Houthi drones shut down Red Sea shipping for 6 months.
Bye for now.